Welcome to Oakwood Shores. Oakwood Shores is a mixed income community servicing over 1,000 residents in Chicago's Bronzeville. Just west of Lake Michigan and minutes from downtown, we pride ourselves on servicing residents of the best city in the world. Our site was built on the land of the former Ida B. Wells Housing Project and currently the home of the National Ida B. Wells Monument. In partnership with our amazing residents and community, our CO department provides a wide array of programs, including computer classes, cooking demonstrations, home ownership courses, college readiness workshops, and much more. Like we tell our volunteers, there's a place for your gifts to thrive at Oakwood. We hope to see you the next time you touch down in the Windy City.
Live from the Charles River Studios, it's the 2021 Power of Home event. Tonight, we welcome Susie Castillo, Julia Stash, Audra Bohannon, Ellis Carr, Janelle Chan, Amy Liu, Brian Fallon, honoring Dr. Monica Mitchell and Edward Merchant. Entertainment by DJ Real P and the president and CEO of TCB, Bart Mitchell. And now, former Miss USA actor and TV host. Please welcome your MC for this evening, Susie Castillo.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Power of Home. I'm Susie Castillo, your MC for tonight, and I am so happy to be joining you this evening because we are coming to you live from the studio here. So soon we will all be together. We're cautiously open here in Mass, and I can see from the chat that you've joined us from New York. We've got Columbus in the house. Cincinnati, where is everyone from? DJ Real P is getting a shout out right now. Welcome, everybody. We have Chicago in the house, DC, Norfolk, Virginia, isn't it? Wow, this is amazing. You guys are coming in from Charlotte, North Carolina. I love it. And of course, we've got folks from Boston in the house as well tonight. So housing is a basic universal human need. It's a basic and universal human need. But tonight isn't just about the roofs over our heads. We are all here to support community life initiatives that don't just make housing affordable, but places where families can thrive. And throughout tonight's event, we hope that you will share the event using the hashtag #PowerOfHome. And our handle is at TCB Communities. So please be sure to show off the fabulous party boxes that you all received. I have one here. I know you all got some confetti. So I hope you're all enjoying at home. And now get your cell phones out because we want you to text POWER to 243-725 to give and show your support for community life. Tonight, you will hear inspiring stories of what community leaders are doing from across the country. And at this time, I would like to thank our sponsors for helping us tonight. Thank you to our roof raiser sponsors, Howard Cohen and Myra Musicant, and Cone Resnick. Thank you to our networking reception sponsor, Eastern Bank. Our door opener sponsors, AGM Financial Services, Built Right Construction, Kevin Martin and Associates, Klein Hornig, John Moriarty and Associates, Maris Brothers Construction, NEI General Contracting, Ohio Capital Corporation for Housing, and Redstone Equity Partners. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors who championed for us. And to the many more who made a financial commitment to Power of Home. We cannot thank you all enough. Thank you, thank you. So please welcome the president and CEO of the Community Builders, Bart Mitchell.
Thank you, Susie. And a warm welcome to each of you for joining us at Power of Home this evening. As we recover from the devastation of COVID-19, and as we reckon with this country's legacy of structural racism, our vision at the Community Builders remains clear: to create a world with vibrant, safe, and inclusive neighborhoods in which all people live in healthy homes with equitable access to resources and opportunities to pursue their dreams. Our efforts to deliver on this vision are as urgent as ever, and we meet the moment and continue to shift power dynamics, ensuring that our residents are at the center of all we do. The Community Builders has grown to become one of America's leading nonprofit housing organizations. Our mission is to build and sustain strong communities where all people can thrive. We develop and operate residential communities, neighborhood amenities, and resident opportunity programs. Since 1964, TCB has partnered to construct or preserve over 30,000 affordable homes. We also own over 300,000 square feet of neighborhood commercial space where healthy food grocers, health centers, and small businesses can operate. And we have pioneered and grown our nationally recognized community life model for resident success. We believe that equity starts at home. The quality, affordable homes we provide are a platform for residents to build their own success and achieve their dreams. Today, anchored by regional offices in Boston, Chicago, Columbus, New York, and Washington, D.C., we work in 30 metro areas across 15 states in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and Midwest U.S. Our residents are why we are here tonight. TCB's community life model unlocks opportunities for TCB residents. Throughout the past year, TCB has thought deeply, as have many of you, about structural barriers to opportunity, and we are committed that we cannot simply go back to a pre-pandemic status quo. We have to build real and lasting change for the communities we serve. High quality, affordable housing creates a chance. Our outcome-focused community life work moves the needle further, providing working parents with access to quality, affordable childcare and pathways to home ownership, and seniors with safe and healthy homes to age in place. We do so with consistent respect and room for resident voice in the power dynamics, and we advocate for policy changes to rectify past wrongs and make opportunity more equally available. Tonight's Power of Home event makes possible TCB's community life work and will sustain it for the months ahead. Now, I'd like you to meet an inspiring young man, Jesus Verghese, a TCB resident in Worcester, Massachusetts, who has made some inspiring choices to support his family. Through TCB's Family Self-Sufficiency Program, he has saved over $10,000 in the last 2 years toward buying a home.
Grew up in Puerto Rico. There was a struggles over there too, but big community. But a family member moved here first to the U.S. and she wanted us to get a better life.
There's a lot of challenges that folks have when they come here. There's the challenge of obviously the economic challenge where, the possibility of jobs, having a high school diploma is so important, which is at least a plus for Jesus that he's had that. And maybe wanting to study or wanting to move forward, but it's just the economic situations doesn't allow it.
We came to Worcester when I was 16. I had a choice, and it was between going to, take my education or work to get my mom out of that situation, for her not to get bankruptcy. And I did. I sacrificed my education to work and pay all this real quick, and we moved to Plumbing Village.
it's an asset building program. It's because of the wealth inequality that exists and the difficulties for people getting, being able to do better or to make it. It's really hard for folks. This program is that, and once they're in the program, when the rent goes up, their increase in rent goes into a savings account.
It's a program to help you base in your credit, to build it, to get more money, to set a goal for yourself in the future. My goal was to make a house for my kid, because I gotta be honest, Blooming Village is a great place. It opened doors for me, but you want to live in your own place in the future. You want to become something better.
That's one of the main goals that many people have. They want to have their own home. That's a really important goal. And many people are involved in the program because that's what their dream is and that's what they want to be able to achieve.
I want to thank Jesus for being willing to share with us like that tonight. Tonight's Power of Home event is TCB's only fundraising event for the year, and will provide immediate support for our community life work with families and seniors across 15 states as we all emerge from the pandemic and reconnect in new ways. Through Community Life, TCB staff partner with residents as they pursue their dreams, so children learn, parents earn, and seniors stay connected. In the pandemic, TCB Property Management and Community Life staff have done even more, going all the way to the basics: access to cleaning supplies, access to food, access to broadband and internet devices. Now, thankfully, we're reopening. So that means back to helping parents get entry to the best local preschools for their children, youth summer programs, low-cost banking options for parents, and senior health and wellness opportunities. Here's a chance to support our community life work. And let me give you a glimpse of what people were doing during the pandemic. Access to the most basic supplies for residents and for neighbors in Akron, Ohio.
My name is Kenny Thomas, and I'm the Community Life Services Coordinator for Cascade Village in Akron, Ohio. The Community Life Catalog is a program that we use to incentivize program attendance. We then allow for our residents to make an order from a community account, and then we go out into the local businesses and retrieve that item for them. It not only gives them the resource that they need, but it also eliminates any issues that they may have with transportation. We don't just take care of the community that we're in, we also take care of the communities that surround us. Keep being great, TCB.
How you guys doing? Good. How you doing, buddy? Doing good. I work for a company called the Community Builders. Okay. We wanted to make sure that you guys had some household supplies. It's just some soap.
We can take it over. Yeah, we will take it with us.
No problem. You guys have a great day.
Thank you very much. You have a great day.
Matt, same to you. Kenny.
Kenny?
Yep.
That's my dad's name. I won't forget that.
All right.
I'm Doug.
How you doing, Doug?
Kenny?
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem.
Appreciate
Nice to meet you guys.
it.
You guys be blessed.
Kenny Thomas's work on TCB's community life staff in Akron, Ohio, shows that delivering even the most basic needs and delivering respect each and every day builds trust, which is an amazing foundation for so much more. So many of you are here to support the work we do, support our residents, and congratulate our honorees. We're grateful. If you would like to make a gift in honor of a loved one, our staff, or the honorees, please pull out those phones and text POWER, P-O-W-E-R, to 243725 to do so. I'd also like to take this time to share an amazing opportunity to leverage your dollars for greater impact. TCB's board of directors has agreed to match all dollars raised tonight up to $25,000. Thank you very much to the TCB board. So let's maximize the match and double your dollars tonight. For a contribution of $5,000, TCB is able to address the health needs for 6 months at one of TCB's many properties serving vulnerable seniors, disabled residents, and young families. Melanie Harris Barber on TCB's Baltimore, Maryland Community Life team understands that keeping residents at the center of our work is TCB's #1 strategic priority. Here's Melanie.
Hi, this is Melanie. I'm here in front of Pedestal Gardens in Baltimore, Maryland. I help to build and sustain families by building a partnership with our residents by using the family-centered approach.
For a contribution of $2,500, TCB staff are able to bring together resources and meals that address concerns of food insecurity. When schools were closed and children did not have access to a nutritional meal, when seniors were unable to go to the grocery store, TCB made sure our residents had food. Here's Jasmine Benford from TCB's Community Life team in Norfolk, Virginia.
I'm Jasmine Benford. I work for the Community Builders at Broad Creek Renaissance in Norfolk, Virginia. I build and sustain strong communities by partnering with local organizations that provide healthy meals to distribute to our community.
Jasmine's work is inspiring. Thank you, Jasmine. For a contribution of $1,000, and that's what you might spend in a year on a cup of coffee a day, you can provide a laptop, a transformative gift for a student attending school, for a parent needing that laptop to work or to find employment, or for a senior to meet virtually with their doctor. Again, folks, text POWER to 243725 and double your dollars. For a contribution of $500, you can help families attend a personal finance workshop, make ends meet, and build on their dreams like Jesus and his family. For a contribution of $250, you can support a week of community after-school tutoring and mentorship. For the young people at our properties, having someone who helps them through a sticky math problem or provides a kind word of encouragement means the world. Finally, for a contribution of $100, you can fund resume support through which a TCB resident lands a job and advances in the workplace. Thanks to all of you who have given and continue to give. Please know that we will be accepting donations at any level throughout the entire program.
Wow, well, thank you all so much. I can see all of those donations coming in, so we thank you for those donations, and keep them coming, keep them coming. And now the moment that you've all been waiting for, our fireside chat. We will begin with our moderator, Julia Stash.
Thank you, and thank you, TCB, for your incredible, compassionate leadership. I am Julia Stash, and we're here to talk about racial equity and community development. Now, the pandemic has laid bare the disparities in virtually every system and structure. Now, the murder of George Floyd and others, it's been a jolt to our collective conscience. What all of this means is that a return to normal is a morally bankrupt goal. It's morally bankrupt because normal just did not work for too many people in our country. So to meet this moment, every sector needs to interrogate its practices and change them if they do not affirmatively advance racial equity, Community development is no exception. So our terrific panel is ready to tackle this issue head on. So meet the panelists here. With important insights on equity and inclusion, Audra Bohannon. From the world of finance, Ellis Carr. With a view on government and philanthropy, Janelle Chan. And with expertise turning policy into action, Amy Liu. So this is really a lightning round panel, and let's start with you, Audra. Big picture, Audra. You have insights across organizations of all types. What are you seeing? Is the commitment to racial equity real? Are organizations doing what they need to do to make real and lasting change? Kick us off, Audra. Thank you.
Oh, Julia, you are asking some big questions. Let me start it out this way. You said, what am I seeing? Well, I'm seeing a lot of good people saying that they want to do the right thing, and some are, but most don't know what to do. I see that on one end. On the other end, I see individuals who still think about this when it comes to equity, check the box, and they are entrenched in maintaining the status quo. And the thing about it is, if you go back to what you just said about George Floyd's murder, when most organizations aggressively put commitments out there, that was the easy part. Now, what do you do with those commitments? And as I've been moving around the world and specifically within the US, having conversations with leaders, with executives, with people driving and running organizations, many of them are grappling with the notion of what do I do? What do I say? How do I make it all work? And so it's been interesting having that dialogue and discussion. And you know what's interesting is that I've been doing this work for over 35 years. And when I started the work, diversity was the only word you heard. Then it was diversity and inclusion. Then it was diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now you're hearing belonging. But the thing that I got excited about over the last couple of years is the big E, which is called equity. And everyone's saying it, and I keep telling people, you need to understand what you mean when you say the word equity, because it's about how do we create spaces, how do we create environments, how do we create cultures, how do we create opportunities for everyone, no matter how different they are. When you think about the work in terms of community development, when you think about the work we're doing at TCB, when you think about everything that's going on, how do you create the space so people can be at their best and live full lives? That's what we're talking about. And I do think equity is a key piece, because doing all this work for so long and we haven't moved the needle to the degree we have, it's because we thought training would be a silver bullet, and it was not. There is a three-legged stool that we all have to give consideration to. And one is behavior change. The second one is looking at structures, looking at policies, looking at informal practice, and being able to pull all of those pieces together. And so when you start bringing that three-legged stool together, that's how you begin to create change. And it really is interesting that if you're serious, and I mean serious, if you have a state of readiness that something has to change, then everything will start to flow from that place. So if you think about, okay, Audra, if based on everything you're seeing, and what would you recommend that organizations give consideration to? What do we really mean when we talk about racial equity and community development? There are 5 simple things, and it's probably going to be some of the hardest work you do, but you'll be able to see it as I say it. First of all, I think it's important for people to sit in their truth. I think it's important for you to understand, what have I done to perpetuate the status quo? When you look at me as a Black woman, do you see me, if I'm not part, if you're part of a different demographic, as an equal to you? Can you see me in the highest level in organizations? What do you see when you see me? And so when you see our residents, or when you see people of difference from you, what do you see? And to be honest with that, to understand the stereotypes that surround it, and be able to say, you know what? I have perpetuated the status quo up to this point. So if I'm going to really be serious in terms of my leadership, then I have to make a decision that I'm going to disrupt the default, that I am going to have a mindset shift. But it takes a lot of courage and commitment. It takes ability and commitment to act and to keep on acting. And it also drives accountability and sustainability, because that's what's been missing. So whatever we do, and I'm so excited to see some of the things we're doing at TCB, it is around, at the end of the day, around accountability, because that will drive sustainability. And when you start working that, it becomes your legacy. It becomes the lens through which you look at the world. So I'm going to pause there, but I'm just saying I'm cautiously optimistic that it's going to get better, because I do think we've hit a new time.
So Audra, actually, I was going to ask you as the last question, are you optimistic? But thank you for making sure we knew what you thought and that it was cautiously optimistic. You've laid out an incredible challenge. But let me turn to you, Ellis. Your mission and the mission of community development financial institutions writ large has always been financial resources for projects and places that have been overlooked or left out of the financing marketplace. What's different now? How has your work changed?
Thanks, Julia, and great to be with you. So Audra hit on a number of great points, and I will just say a few quick points here. What's changed for us, particularly as we're looking at the market, first and foremost, is that the pandemic and the civil unrest has really driven more to be aware of the role that structural and institutionalized racism has had directly on communities of color, and quite frankly, still continues to have, in respect to health and wealth and a number of other disparities. There's also, I think what's different is that there is a better understanding for how community development organizations, community-based organizations, specifically CDFIs, given their proximity to communities, are and can be seen as a significant player in helping to address the historic disinvestment that we see in communities of color. And as Audra mentioned earlier, their public and private sectors are really exploring ways to embed racial equity in their work. And you've seen a number of commitments of resources, but as was referenced earlier, we are also finding that many don't know what to do. So given all of that, our work has changed pretty dramatically. We, like a number of other community-based organizations, have embarked on a racial equity journey several years ago. And through those efforts, really got to a place where we developed a much more intentional agenda to support the equitable access to resources that specifically promoted generational wealth development. And this new agenda really required us to interrogate our current practices. We rethought how we were engaging communities, which changed from us coming into communities with a specific product or perspective to stopping, engaging, and listening first, and then developing a suite of products and supports to help support where the community wanted to go, right? Ensuring that there was the agency that the community had was actually strengthened through our work. We have to rethink our current credit policies and practices. We rethought how we worked with the community and also who we worked with. We wanted to work with like-minded organizations that were really committed to racial equity. And we could see that through the way that they engaged the communities, but also in the way that actually they looked, the composition of their boards, their management team, and their leadership team. And then finally, I'd say that we did a lot of changes as a result of investing and building new capacity and capabilities, recognizing that we had to go beyond housing and facilities lending if we really wanted to support the ambitious agenda that we created. And so we built and launched a new technical assistance practice that was national, really focused on serving capacity building specifically for BIPOC communities. And we developed and launched a BIPOC real estate developer program to do that. We merged with the nation's largest small business SBA lender in the country with a specific focus of driving more opportunity for job creation and wealth creation in communities of color and developing new products specifically for communities. And lastly, we launched an investment line of business that really provides both equity and debt at a continuum of capital for communities, and with the express purpose of debunking the perceived risk that is generally kind of associated with communities of color.
So Ellis, let me thank you for using the word interrogate. It's so much better than we explored, we considered, we thought about. What it really has done is forced you to examine very deeply and get you out of your comfort zone. So that's terrific. So let's ask Janelle for a moment. You know, the demand for change is especially high in government and philanthropy. These are both areas where you have experience. So what's needed there for real and lasting focus on racial equity? And maybe you could also comment on the opportunity and responsibility of these two sectors, especially with respect to the role they play supporting community development.
Thank you, Julia, and thank you, Bart and the TCB board for having me today. I think the key word to your question is lasting. How can we have a lasting, sustained focus on racial equity? I am learning that you have a lot more probability for success if you're investing in institutions, structures. I'm using the word institution liberally and broadly to include human capital, whether it be in the community or a team whose culture and commitment exists beyond just one charismatic leader. It is investing in capacity and pipelines of leaders from the community. The many systems of housing inequity that currently exist, like housing segregation, were designed to be so through generations of racist policies and practices. And for us to try and address systemic racism requires us to have a sustained, intentional commitment. I just recently was shown a great visual of the difference between equity, equality, and justice. I hope you all are auditory learners because I can't show you the picture. So imagine a bent over apple tree, two girls, one on each side of the tree, and they're both given an equal height ladders. The first girl who's standing with the tree bent towards her can reach the apples on her side, but the ladder is too short for the girl on the other side of the tree. So that's what we call equality. Now imagine we got the second girl, a custom taller ladder that allows her to reach that apple on her side. That's equity. And justice is when we push that tree straight. Now I'm going to give you a real world example. We're supportive of voucher expansion. The Family Stability and Opportunity Vouchers Act would create 500,000 new opportunity vouchers. Vouchers are those apples. We want to have more apples. So if passed, the number is tremendous. And the math says to us that it should be enough for us to address homelessness. What is important is we need to remember the ladders. A family awarded a voucher doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to use it, right? If we want to support a family, especially ones who want to move to a new community, to perhaps a better school, more resources, we need to provide the housing search, the counseling, short money like moving expenses, and even just helping their kids sign up for soccer practice so they're entrenched and are in this new community. That's what it takes to make these vouchers feasible for these families. These are the ladders, and they must be intentionally matched to communities we're trying to serve. They have to be named. So if we're trying to reach Black families, if we're trying to reach Latinx families, Chinese American families, Vietnamese families, we need to be intentional, and we need to name our objectives. So this analogy can be applied to the current tranche of emergency rental assistance. Up until earlier today, we were approaching the precipice of the eviction moratorium ending with billions of dollars of relief stuck. This is where some in philanthropy have stepped up and stepped in to provide that implementation assistance to try to get these dollars out to Black and Brown renters that have been disproportionately impacted. This is a time-bound resource. With that said, evictions before the pandemic were occurring and impacting BIPOC communities disproportionately. Let's not lose this moment, but let's not lose this long-range perspective as well. So preventing unnecessary evictions requires the prioritization of work that transforms systems, practices, and cultural norms. I understand we are all trying to do our best, and I have faith that together, I think we can do better. We have to.
Well, Janelle, I think the really important summary comment was, let's not lose the moment, but let's not lose the long-range view. That's going to be hard because that means we have to keep two things in our head at the same time. Let's turn to Amy now. Now, Amy, your focus is on the policy change necessary for racial equity. So specifically for community development, Amy, the American Rescue Plan provides unprecedented investments to local governments and other intermediaries to rebuild better. How can community developers take advantage of this opportunity and other proposed federal reforms to make the kind of real and lasting change that we're talking about and progress toward racial equity?
Thanks, Julia, and I really appreciate being part of this program with Audra, Ellis, and Janelle. Listen, I think this conversation we're having, which is very honest and direct, has to be applied to now, to real live actions that our local leaders, our local intermediaries that Janelle was talking about, are making decisions at the very moment and grounded in everyday reality. And I know we are all doing that. And I just want to situate that now with the Federal Rescue Plan and other trends too, Julia, that you and I have talked about. But right now, as everyone knows, the Biden administration and Congress passed a $1.9 trillion rescue plan, of which $350 billion goes to states and localities. It's a huge opportunity to take that unprecedented set of investments to remake and bend the historical trend lines in our cities towards greater racial equity outcomes. And the fear is that we're going to use all of these dollars and pour them through existing programs, and basically just restore funding to existing programs that essentially sort of protect the status quo. So I think the moment right now for a lot of local leaders and community leaders working with city governments is to how do we take all these incredible investment opportunities and truly create and reinvent the existing delivery system so that we create much more dynamic and equitable outcomes in our communities for the duration, the lasting outcome that you all are challenging us to think about. And so I actually came up with some ideas on what that might look like. And so one is there is no doubt a lot of this money is going towards relief and helping immediate short-term needs by the most vulnerable populations. And I do think there is one concern across a lot of cities in our communities or across the country now that's concerned that these federal dollars are going to overlook underserved populations. I think both rescue plan and even the infrastructure dollars are going to bypass key neighborhoods and key populations. And so one idea I thought about is, can TCB's partners serve as concierges to their residents and their communities and neighborhoods to those local delivery dollars so that they don't miss the opportunity to be part of the change or beneficiaries of change? Think about, there's digital equity grants going out to make sure families can cover broadband bills and get access to devices as kids return and might have to continue to do learning and job searches from home. There are housing affordability grants and rental assistance programs. How do we make sure that our intermediaries are champions for local residents to access those dollars in the near term? But now, what about those transformative opportunities, Julia? And I was thinking about three of those. One is, I think there's a big concern, especially as we rebuild vacant properties and restore businesses that have closed, is that we're going to have pockets of commercial districts, development districts, commercial districts in our neighborhoods and urban neighborhoods and suburban neighborhoods, older suburban neighborhoods that are going to be rebuilt. How do we make sure that redevelopment results in ownership and wealth creation opportunities for local residents? One thing that TCB partners can do with local governments is to use those rescue plan dollars to create what we're seeing now as like these quick acquisition funds, so that can the local governments purchase vacant properties, land temporarily before they get bought up by for-profit developers. So use this temporary acquisition fund to slowly then transition to opportunities for nonprofit developers and community groups. And so that's That's a new program that we can use these flexible dollars for. Another is that the Biden administration is thinking hard now as we of using the infrastructure plan to reward local jurisdictions for changing zoning laws to increase more housing in opportunity-rich neighborhoods. What could TCB do to make sure that as we rebuild our urban cores in the post-work-from-home environment and the suburbs begin to thrive, is that we use these existing tools to create more housing choices for our residents in these high opportunity places. And then the last thing I see, and I really appreciate the fact that TCB is thinking about workforce training, opportunities for local residents, is there is an opportunity now to remake summer youth jobs programs that lead to year-round work-based learning. And this is really important because summer youth jobs in cities or across the country has been an opportunity to respond to the rise in crime in our cities and to make sure that our young people remain productive and have productive opportunities. So let's grab all these young people with the summer youth programs, but don't deliver it the same way. Connect those dollars to year-round paid internships, credentials with community colleges, other institutions that are also benefiting rescue plan dollars, so that you can create these partnerships that change the system of opportunity for a lot of local residents. Again, huge opportunities with this and the pending infrastructure bill coming and other family investments. But I do think that the community development network has just a role to play, to be at the table and be at the center of those conversations.
Amy, thank you so much for being so concrete. So that concludes our fireside chat. Thank you to our thoughtful, provocative speakers. Let's welcome Bart back to the stage to introduce our honorees. Thank you.
Julia, thank you so much. And the entire panel, that was inspiring and huge amounts of food for thought. I'm really delighted now to introduce you to our honorees, starting with Monica Mitchell. The Community Builders has been working in the Avondale neighborhood of Cincinnati for over 10 years now. And those of you who are familiar with our work there know how deeply it involves Cincinnati Children's Hospital and Dr. Monica Mitchell, who has been a complete champion for the children and adults in this neighborhood. Together, we've brought better housing, better indoor air quality in that housing, improved safety, resident health champions, who you're going to hear from in a minute, hired to help improve maternal and child health. And finally, after 20 years as a food desert, access to a new healthy food market. The positive effects build on each other like a health multiplier. With better health and better nutrition come better chances for children to learn and for parents to earn. Tonight, we recognize Dr. Mitchell's strong commitment to the Avondale community, without which TCB work would not be possible. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Mitchell with the 2021 Power of Home Award.
Congratulations, Dr. Monica Mitchell, on winning the Power of Home Award from the Community Builders this year. We are so grateful that you are our honoree. You are the epitome of what partnership looks like. And we are so grateful to get to partner with you in the Avondale neighborhood. Your commitment to community development in partnership with residents is evident and highlighted by the work we've done together in Avondale Town Center and with our Health Champion program. We could not do it without your leadership and continued partnership with Cincinnati Children's Hospital. We are so grateful, and you are so deserving of this award. Thank you so much.
Hello, from Avondale, TCB, Cincinnati, Ohio.
We'd like to thank you, Monica Mitchell, for inspiring the Health Champions, being the best that we can be, and getting in the community and helping others that can't help themselves.
And also agreeing and participating in everything that we put our minds to when it comes to Reading Bears, when it comes to anything with Cincinnati Children, CCTST, anything else that we need, we just like to thank you, and we want you to know that we recognize everything that you do, and we appreciate you so much.
And we love you.
Thank
for
you.
inspiring us.
Wow. I'm extremely humbled by the remarks. I'd like to thank TCB and the Power of Home Award organizers for this great honor. Most pediatric psychologists dream of working with patients in hospitals. My dream has always been to work with people in communities to improve health, the quality of life, and equity, especially for children who are our future. Because where there are people and families and children and community organizations like the community builders, there's power. And power, what a great word and so fitting for tonight's event. In my more than 20 years of working in Avondale, I've been especially blessed to work with TCB as a partner. We share the same hope, determination, and pride as members of the community, which has allowed us to make positive changes together. To improve housing, health, employment, and education. Through our collaborative partnerships with many, many other partners, we're on the eve of ending a near 2-decade-long trend of a food desert, adding even more life and vitality to the neighborhood's town center and business district. So I would like to thank my family, especially like to thank my mom who is watching tonight. When I was younger, she would tell me that I could be anything, but the most important thing that I could be is to be kind. And she's one of the kindest people that I know. I also like to thank my colleagues at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, including my teams within innovations and community relations. Special thanks to Alicia, Aubrey, Kalana, and Addison. We work very closely, sometimes on a daily basis, with TCB so that we can make the greatest impact that we can in Avondale. I would also like to thank our partners at TCB, Elizabeth, Jeff, Jody, Reggie, Bart, Isaac, the community life team, the property management team, and of course, the health champions. And then finally, I dedicate this award, it's beautiful, to the residents of Avondale who inspire our work and our purpose. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica. Now, it is also my great pleasure to present our next Power of Home Award to none other than Ed Marchant, who is principal at EHM Real Estate Advisors. He is a fantastic lecturer leading a course on affordable housing and real estate development at the Harvard Graduate School of Design that many affordable housing leaders around the country have taken over the years. And most on point for this evening, he was one of TCB's earliest staff members, working at TCB for 10 years, early on in his career, from 1971 to 1980. And then for much of the time since, has served 2 periods of service as a TCB board member, most recently completing his board service in 2019. Former and current TCB staff consider Ed a mentor, a resource, and a friend. Congratulations, Ed. Here are some further words from a few of those who have been lucky enough to work with you and/or take your class.
Hello, I'm Louise Elving, principal of EVA Consulting and proud former staff member of TCB.
This is Jenny Kiesler, Finance Project Manager at the Community Builders.
Good evening. I'm Pat Clancy, the former CEO of the Community Builders. And I want to say that one of the most incredible and best things that happened to me in my professional career was having the opportunity to work for about the first 10 years of it with Ed Marchant. Ed brought to the work an enthusiasm for all of the parts of it, and just an amazing and endless pursuit of knowledge and information about all things real estate, particularly housing, design, construction, finance, markets, programs, what different developers were doing in different places. Just always trying to absorb and learn more that could impact and improve and enhance his ability to be effective in his work.
I wanted to congratulate Ed Marchant. TCB still owns and manages great housing that you developed while at TCB. Woodbourne Apartments, Casa Maria, the Brooks School. I also took your affordable housing class when I was in grad school, and you were a fantastic teacher. I went to school thinking I would become an environmental planner, but after taking your class, I was totally hooked on affordable housing finance. Congratulations, Ed, and thank you.
Ed just had a way of finding information in the most bizarre places and ways that he has continued to this day, and that makes him probably the most knowledgeable person about all of the dimensions of this work that I've had the opportunity to work with. So for your 10 years of putting up with me and our working together, Ed, for the additional engagements you took on with TCB in the years afterwards, and for your many, many years of board service, some while I was still there as CEO, and the last 10 years with Bart at the helm. Thank you for everything you've done for TCB, for your incredible generosity in supporting the organization and its work, and for your friendship over these 50 years. I'm glad TCB is honoring you tonight. I'm glad to be able to be a part of it. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ed, on this recognition of your skills, your tenacity, your creativity, and all you did through your work at TCB and elsewhere over the years to improve communities, enhance lives, and teach people. It's wonderful that your good humor, knowledge, insight, and skills will continue to be of use to TCB.
Thank you so much for this Power of Home Award. I sincerely appreciate it, particularly the comments. A bit of hyperbole there, but I'll take it. However, it has been reward enough to have the opportunity to enjoy a long and fruitful association with TCB. As a staff member, as an advisor on special TCB projects, as a board member for 21 years, and currently as a non-board member of TCB's Real Estate Committee. Throughout my entire 50-year experience with TCB, there have been certain constants that have, in my opinion, contributed to TCB's success. One, a steadfast commitment to its mission to provide quality housing and supportive services to needy individuals and families. Two, staff members who are very smart, very creative, hardworking, and absolutely committed to the TCB mission. Three, strong, long-term leadership from its three CEOs. My mentor, who hired me in 1971, Bob Whittlesey, who founded South End Community Development, which transitioned to Greater Boston Community Development, GBCD, and is now the much larger organization we all know as TCB. Bob was succeeded by my close friend, whom you just heard from, Pat Clancy, who strongly led TCB for 35 years. And Pat really was the force behind the community life emphasis at TCB's projects. That really differentiated TCB from other developers and established TCB as arguably the leading nonprofit developer of affordable and mixed income housing in the country. Pat, of course, was succeeded by the current CEO, Bart Mitchell, who has skillfully led TCB as it continues to design innovative ways to provide quality, affordable, and mixed income housing and quality, supportive, and important supportive services in an ever-challenging political and economic environment. 4, similarly, effective and supportive long-term leadership from the TC board chairs, Steve Anthony, Phil Clay, and currently Brian Fallon, all of whom both encouraged and valued participation by all board members and made all board members feel that their commitment was worthwhile and productive. Speaking of long-term, loyal, and supportive relationships, I'd like to introduce my wife of 51 years, Catherine Marchant. Catherine shares the same TCB passion and commitment for quality housing in her field of early childhood education. As a Boston Public Schools classroom teacher and teacher coach, as a college educator, and as an early childhood education consultant. I have always valued her support, and she is also a great believer in TCB's work. Say hello, Catherine.
Hi.
Again, sincere thanks for this Power of Home Award. Good night.
Congratulations, Ed. We're all very, very proud of you. Thank you to all of our sponsors, to our donors, and to the board of directors who worked so hard on this wonderful event. It's because of partners like each of you that we've been able to grow this annual event and provide essential services to our residents. I am pleased to say that tonight, so far, we have raised $380,000 and donations are still coming in. So you know, donations will be open until next Thursday, so please spread the word of the good work we do at TCB for all of our residents. In closing, a special thank you to all of our over 500 employees and to all of you. We invite you to stay engaged with TCB and our programs and our communities throughout the year. Finally, a special thank you to Susie Castillo for emceeing this Power of Home event and to our entire production team. Susie, it's back to you.
Thank you so much, Brian. It's been a pleasure to be here this evening. And hey, the party is just getting started, everybody. We'd like to continue the party with you, and we're turning the camera back over to DJ Real P, who's going to continue spinning some tunes for you all for the next 30 minutes or so. So enjoy. Thank you so much for all of your donations, and have a good night, everybody. Bye. Oh, we can't hear.